Have you ever felt like your mind was a prison? Days when your heart tightens, but you can't even explain why. Anxiety in your chest, unnamed fear, a strange feeling that something is wrong with you. You try to be strong, but inside, you're falling. Apart, life goes on. The demands increase, and you just wanted a sign, something that would make you get out of bed and believe that there's still time. What I'm going to show you here is not a pretty theory. It's a verse hidden in Psalm 27, capable of piercing through fear, silencing doubt, and rekindling your faith. Yes, a single verse, but not just any verse. It's the same spiritual principle that sustained David in the midst of chaos, and that Napoleon Hill would call the invisible force that guides men to the right destination. You don't need more effort or ready-made answers. You need direction, really. Something that brings peace in the midst of confusion and strength when the world tells you to stop. This psalm is not just about faith. It is about focus, about learning, to see with the eyes of the soul. When everything seems dark, if you are feeling lost, this video was made for you, not because I have all the answers, but because the word has what your soul is begging to hear. Stay with me until the end, because what you are going to hear now may be exactly what God wanted you to know today. And no, this is not a coincidence. You are not going crazy. It is not whining. It is not drama. It is just that you have reached your limit and no one sees it. You wake up already tired, with your heart racing, even for no reason. Your mind screams, but the world asks for silence. You try to smile, but you feel like you are pretending even to yourself. And when you lay your head on the pillow, sleep does not come. It's a war. It feels like there's something crushing you inside, an invisible weight, a constant feeling that something is missing, but you don't know what. Maybe it's direction, or faith, or peace. Maybe you just wanted God to speak to you clearly, like in the movies, but he seems distant, and you, increasingly lost. If I could sit with you right now, eye to eye, I would only say one thing. You are not alone in this confusion. This pain that you feel is real, and more common than it seems. But no one talks about it. Everyone hides it. They post smiles, videos, phrases. But deep down, everyone is asking for help. And the truth is, your tiredness has a spiritual root. You feel overwhelmed because you are trying to carry on a life without divine direction. You are trying to overcome with human strength a conflict that can only be resolved with a vision of faith. The Bible does not ignore this pain. It does not gloss over it. It shows men of God at rock bottom, people who also cried, who also felt forgotten, anxious, paralyzed. David, for example, a man after God's own heart, but who wrote, "Though an army should surround me, my heart would not fear." Psalm 27:3. Do you know what that means? He was not just saying that. He was in the midst of a real crisis. Enemies all around, betrayals, loneliness. And yet, there was something inside him that would not crumble. This is not Instagram faith. This is faith with roots, faith that does not depend on feelings, but on inner conviction. Napoleon Hill said, "Faith is the eternal elixir that gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought." In other words, without faith, your thoughts become enemies. With faith, they become fuel. And maybe the reason you are feeling this anxiety, this fear, this confusion, is because your soul is asking for a new alignment. You are not being punished. You are being called, summoned to return to the center, to return to the place where you heard God effortlessly, where you had peace even without answers. The problem is that life has accelerated. You have run over yourself. You have started to trust logic more than the word, more in circumstances than in promises. And now you feel this hole, this silence, this despair that no one understands, but God understands. And He is here, pulling you back with an invisible rope called grace. If this makes sense to you, comment below. I know how it is, not for me, but as a way to position yourself spiritually, as if to say, I recognize this pain, but I also recognize that I don't want to live like this anymore. Because now I'm going to show you the verse that can redefine your inner state. And it's not a pretty phrase, it's a spiritual key. In the next few words, David will reveal the true secret for those who feel lost, anxious, tired, and can't stand surviving anymore. Get ready, because now comes the part that can change everything. The verse that changes everything is this: "One thing I have asked of the Lord, that will I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple." Psalm 27:4. David could ask for anything: protection, power, victory against his enemies, strength. But he asks for only one thing: presence. This is so strong that almost no one realizes the hidden power here. David didn't want a magic solution. He wanted to stay connected to the only source that sustains a living soul. He understood that true victory is not winning an external war. It is not losing inner peace. And if you are feeling broken, anxious, with a full head and an empty heart, this is the answer you need today. You don't need more control. You need more presence, more time in the inner house of God, more silence to listen, more space for him to manifest. Do you know why anxiety grows? Because the internal noise is louder than the voice of God. And do you know why fear gains strength? Because you have forgotten where your refuge is. David was not in a physical temple all the time, but he carried a temple inside. His mind was trained to dwell in the Lord, to take refuge in the presence, and not in the empty promises of the world. And here is the point that can break the logic of what you have been experiencing. Maybe God is not going to take you out of the desert yet. Maybe he just wants to teach you not to die of thirst inside. He wants to show you that he is the source even where there is no river. He wants to teach you to drink from faith and not from fear. Paul went through this. He wrote about being beaten down, but not destroyed, persecuted but not forsaken, pressed on all sides, but with peace inside. That's it. That's the key. Life can be tough on the outside, but you don't need to fall apart inside. If you are where David was, in the house of the Lord, and it doesn't have to be a church with loud music, lights, and crowds. It's a secret place, internal, where you are silent and God speaks, where you stop and he directs. Napoleon Hill speaks of an infinite intelligence, something that is above us, but accessible from within, a spiritual force that is only activated with faith, purpose, and silence. It is in this place that you hear the direction that no one can give you. It is there that you feel the love that does not depend on merit. It is where fear dies and clarity is born. You can continue trying to solve everything with effort. You can continue blaming yourself, demanding of yourself, trying to please everyone. Or you can take a step into this presence, the presence that does not demand perfection, but responds with peace, the presence that does not abandon you even when you walk away. This search that David speaks of is not a pretty prayer. It is a priority. He does not say, "If I have time, I will seek God." He says, "One thing I have asked for, and that is what I will seek." When your soul prioritizes presence, the rest starts to fall into place. It's not magic, it's spiritual positioning. You exchange despair for direction, doubt for purpose, anxiety for a practical faith that sustains you on the worst days. So now I ask you, can you stop everything for a few minutes and simply say, with sincerity, "God, I just want to return to your presence"? If so, You write in the comments, I choose presence. This is not a video, it's a call. It's a reorientation of the soul. And if you know someone who keeps saying, I'm tired, I'm at my limit, I don't know what to do anymore, send them this video now. Not as advice, but as help. David understood something that changed everything. You don't need to ask for the storm to end. You need to seek eternal shelter, a refuge where your mind slows down and your spirit aligns. And that's where the next revelation comes in, because David didn't stop in this search. He talks about a place where God hides you. Secret shelter, a spiritual hiding place where fear no longer finds you. And that's what I'm going to show you now, because there's a part of Psalm 27 that almost no one pays attention to. But that might be exactly what you need to hear. There are places where God hides you. Yes, you read that right. It's not about exposing yourself more, trying harder, showing yourself more. It's about disappearing in the right place. Because sometimes the greatest protection you can receive is the silence of God hiding you from the chaos. David says this clearly, for in the day of trouble he will hide me in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle, he will set me high. He will exalt me upon a rock. Psalm 27:5. This is so profound that it even gives you goosebumps. God didn't promise to take you out of the bad day. He promised to hide you in it. Look at the difference. Many people want to escape, disappear from the pain, avoid confrontation. But God does something much more powerful. He places you within the pain in a way that it no longer touches you in the same way. It's as if he said, I'm not going to remove the fire, but I'm going to teach you how to walk in it without getting burned. Just like he did with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The fire was real, but the presence was even more real. This spiritual hiding place is not an escape. It's a fortress. It's a place where your soul stops screaming and starts listening, where your mind doesn't disconnect from reality, but connects with a higher vision. And it is in this place that you discover something that changes everything. You are not unprotected. You were just looking for protection in the wrong place. You were looking for it in people, in explanations, in perfect plans. But the hiding place is not outside. It is inside, and here comes the turning point that can save your faith. Maybe God's silence in your life is not abandonment. It is Him hiding you. It is Him protecting you from the wrong doors, the wrong people, hasty decisions. There are things that you thought were rejection, but were actually protection in disguise. There is silence that hurt you, but saved you. Napoleon Hill says that every adversity carries within it the seed of an equivalent benefit. And many times, this benefit is precisely the time that God gives you to mature without the pressures of the world swallowing you up. David knew this, and that is why he continued to trust even when he saw nothing change on the outside. You may be in a moment where everything seems to be at a standstill. Your life is not moving forward. Your prayers seem to hit the ceiling, but what David reveals is that even so, God is acting, hiding you, protecting you, working in silence, and when the right time comes, He will not only take you out of hiding, He will place you on a rock, He will raise you up, because hiding is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the polishing of the soul. It is where the ego dies and faith matures, where haste disappears and wisdom arrives. And maybe that is why you are listening to this now, because you were already thinking that God had forgotten. But He was just keeping you in the place where His voice can reach you. David ends this passage with a vision of victory. He says that he will be raised on a rock above his enemies. This is a symbol of clarity, of a higher vision, of direction. Because when you accept the hiding place, you receive elevation. But this only happens to those who do not abandon their faith in the midst of silence. And perhaps the end point of this spiritual journey is not an answer, but a decision. The decision to continue believing, even when everything around you says otherwise, the decision to hold on to the promise, even when your soul screams to give up. Because in the end, faith is not about seeing, it is about trusting. As Paul wrote to the Corinthians, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." 2 Corinthians 5:7, and it is this faith that sustains those who feel weak, that guides those who feel lost. It is this faith that holds your soul when the ground disappears. It is this faith that leads you to your purpose even after so many falls. And when you look back and realize everything you endured, you will see that every silence had a reason, every pain formed you, each weight prepared you. It wasn't for nothing. You weren't left aside. You were molded by divine hands for a time like this. So keep this in your heart. If you're breathing, you still have a purpose. If you're listening to this, you still have a living promise within you. And God doesn't lie. He fulfills what He promises, in His time, in His way. Until then, stay. Because those who stay see the impossible happen. Those who stay live the extraordinary. If this video spoke to you, comment below, "I choose to stay." And share it with someone who needs hope today, not by chance, but by purpose. May the peace that surpasses all understanding surround you, and may, even in the silence, you continue to hear the voice that never fails, the voice of God. Until the next video.